Well, thank you, William Bilancio. Did I say your last name right?
Yeah,
Bilancio?
it's pretty
Okay,
good. Yeah.
that's a fun name. William Bilancio for joining us today with Brunswick Community Radio, and he's going to talk about security for small stations. So, with that,
Okay.
I'll turn it over to you.
Hey guys, thanks for coming or joining us today. My name is, as she said, Willem Bilancio. I am with the nonprofit Brunswick Community Radio. We've of course got our LPFM license for 95.7 WBWK. We're in the process of getting it built and funded. Actually, I guess funded then built. Anyway, so that's where we are right now. But my day job is the director of IT, information technology for the city of Brunswick. I've been in this field, wow, the 90s. No, yeah, late 90s, late 90s, because I went through the Y2K issue.
Mm,
So so I've been doing this a while. I've seen no security on computer stuff to having to have it. I watched the internet be born. I was one of the first private citizens to have a domain name, rockandroll.com. So I watched that grow exponentially, and then security is needed. It's not just a government thing, it's not a political thing. Unfortunately, it just happens. Um, so there are many things that needs to happen for cybersecurity, and I'm actually glad talk is today because for the last 2 days I've been out of work, out of the office, not out of work, out of the office having to do some personal things, but being pulled back to work every few minutes because we've had two cybersecurity incidents for the city with phishing exploits. So
mm,
we've had to
mm.
deal with that for 2 days now. So today we finally got the solution put into place this morning about 7 a.m. So I might be a little tired, so be nice.
No
So
worries.
there are a lot of things that go on the internet or get connected to little networks in small stations, and more of our broadcast equipment is becoming IP enabled or internet protocol enabled. Um, and so Yeah. So there are a lot of things. So a lot of, as we saw with the barracks issues, people just plugging them right in, getting a public IP from their internet provider, whether it's Comcast or Verizon or whoever, and just leaving the default password on, which not a good thing. Back in the day, that was fabulous. Plug it in, go, hey, you're on the air, and there's things to do, and you're broadcasting. So what you need there, so you can't do that anymore, as you can see. The best security for internet is not to have any of your equipment on the internet. Um, you know, just a big gap is what a lot of companies do, whether it's broadcast or in the private sector, colleges, education, government. Um, but it's it's not always feasible, and things have to get out to the internet. So, um, so that's what you have to look at. You have to look at what needs to really be on there. So we'll start with the broadcast. If we're going to assume it's a small station that has two locations, a studio space downtown Brunswick, and the tower space, which is maybe still downtown Brunswick, but sitting on City Hall. Hopefully, my boss will hear this and say, "Hey, yeah, let's put the tower on City Hall." So got to give it hope. So how do you get the audio between, how do you get your signal, your what you're happening at the studio to the transmitter and up the tower? Well, there are multiple ways. Back in the old days, it would be a telephone line, a special telephone line that you would buy from your local provider and called it used to be alarm line, but then they changed it and called it other things. So, and that would be it. You two pairs of wire going from point A studio through the phone system and out and then pop out at your tower area. So there's your audio, right? With the equipment to do all the demodulation and all that stuff. But that's just the basics. That got expensive. And also the phone company stopped doing it. They didn't want to. provide that anymore. So it's like uh, copper lines coming to your house. Nobody has those anymore. So it's the same thing. So fiber, internet became a thing, and that became a blaze for broadcasters because they were able to start selling or buying T1 lines, which are 1.4 lines was the high end, all the way down to 256K. Um, right? Yeah, 256K they were dedicated, sort of. So you would buy that, have one end, have one at one end and one at the other, and go back and forth. Same thing as the copper lines. And you were safe. There wasn't a lot of, there was no interaction between the outside world and any of these lines at this point. And then they came up more things, ISDN, blah, blah, blah. Then the cable modem boom hit, and DSL. And that became a big thing because that was all shared networks, right? Cable, you plug it, you so at the time I lived in New Jersey when the cable modems became really big. Comcast was the provider and it was the at-home network. I didn't work from home at that time. My wife at the time, she'd be at home and I'd come home from work. She'd be like, at 2 o'clock, the internet just, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that's when the school's let out. All the kids came home, they started playing their games, and everybody was there. So I said shared network. That's what happens. So, but radio stations and businesses were using it to communicate from point A to point B. And, they'd slow down or everybody could really see everything. If you had a cable modem back in the day, you could sit and watch the cable modem and there'd be a little LED, and under it would say link, and the thing would just flash, 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 flash. If you unplugged your computer from the modem, that little link light would stop. But what it was it wasn't traffic going out from your computer. Sorry, right. Your dog. Out from your computer, it was people trying to get into your computer. And that's when things started getting interesting. Because that's when you would have people trying to get on your computer to do nefarious things. You could back in the day, I haven't checked this in a while, it used to take 10 minutes for a Windows 95, Windows XP box to be put on the internet on a public, just plugged in, 10 to 15 minutes for it to be hacked. And supposedly that's what's happening with these units, the barracks units. And I might not be calling them that correctly, but the barracks units, they go so fast that once they're on there, people find them and they try and take it over right away. And if you leave the default password, you're done. So don't put things publicly on the internet, is what I'm trying to say. So things have increased, right? Things have gotten faster, wider open. It's more of like the wild, wild. It was like the wild, wild west when cable modems came out with security because we really didn't know what it was. We were like, oh, the internet. We're just going to use, right? This is fun. We got these pictures. We can read things. We got Napster. We can get music, right? And we got all this stuff. And then the corporations got involved, and then we started seeing major break-ins at corporations, and then firewalls were built. The firewall. This was like the groundswell, not the groundswell. This was like it was the brick wall supposedly for cybersecurity. Nothing was ever going to get through that firewall. And that's really the way it was supposed to be. But again, people mis programmed them, misconfigured them. So people were still breaking in. But we got better at it. At cybersecurity engineers, I actually have one, and her retired one lives right across the street from me. I don't know what Brunswick is. It's like a magnet for retired cybersecurity engineers. They're all over around here. So I hear war stories all the time. So we so the firewall became a thing. You had to have a firewall because you had to protect what was on the other side of the firewall, right? That was like your air gap. So as the firewall became more and more important, people started putting them in, but little stations don't have them, and small businesses don't have the money to buy high-end things. like firewalls. So firewalls started the cybersecurity thing, started fixing things, and um, in a way, if they were configured correctly. But you still had pieces of equipment out there that will that are still out there. Legacy, excuse me. I had a friend of mine the other day tell me he found a box sitting on the internet that was so hacked, and he finally got into it, and it had been turned on, hadn't been rebooted in over 5 years. Because you can see how long things are if you do uptime on a Linux box. And actually, this was a Windows box, which amazed me that it was even still running after 5 years. Sorry, Microsoft. But so let's get back to broadcasting. So now you have the alarm lines are gone, T1s are being phased out. There's broadcast companies are seeing how much cheaper it is to do cable modems, public IP using public internet, but there's really no security. There's security, but they're not really protecting it, and they're using shared, and it's getting kind of funky because of speed. So now, what do you want? Now we have fiber. Fiber has been the best thing ever. I love fiber because fiber is private. It's it's a little stream of light that carries lots and lots of data, and you can use it for a lot of things um, on the internet. So that's how we're transmitting. That's how we're transmitting and receiving from point A to point B, studio to the um, tower site. That's how you're getting your information is by using internet. Or farther distances, you might use STL using a satellite link or microwave, whatever. But most small stations like an LPFM, we're not going to have the money for that, right? That's just the way it is. So we're going to try and use whatever the public internet is. So but what do you do inside the buildings, right? That's important too. So, as I said, you want an air gap. So anything that doesn't have to be on the internet, and this is me, this is just the way I am. I'm very protective of my automation systems, my music library, and anything that has proprietary data from my station. I do not allow to be on the internet, or if I do, only certain people can use the internet on those machines. And this is the way I built other stations and podcast studios. So I do not allow the DJs to be able, with the automation system sitting there, all it's going to show them is the automation system. There's going to be a weather station that all it's going to show is the weather, and then news. If I have a news screen feed, that's all it's going to show. So that's on its own little network. So networking equipment, commercial networking equipment is becoming very low priced. There's easy entry into getting it. Um, Now, what I have more experience at this than most people, mainly because I've been doing it forever, doing broadcasting since the 80s, internet and computers since the 90s. So I'm a little bit of a hybrid. So when I start design, especially for WBWK, people are thinking I'm going crazy with the way I want to build things, except the guy across the street on my board who's going, I don't have to tell him how to fix this because he already knows. So what I tell people to do is look for a managed switch that can do multiple VLANs, which are virtual LANs. So what you have in an office or even your home, if you have a network cable that goes from a little switch on the back of your cable modem or fiber modem and runs to your computer, that's a LAN. That's a local area network. So, but with a managed switch, you can have multiple of those on the same switch. So I can have one switch, which is a little, there's no redundancy, but we're just going to use singles. So one switch that I plug everything into, but I segregate things. So the automation system, the weather station, and the news station, and all my music library and all that other stuff that I don't want to have to be able to get to from the internet are on their own little VLAN, on their own little virtual LAN. And then I have another LAN for office space so that my people who have news, office, hanging out can plug their laptops in or get on the wireless and be able to get to the internet, do their stories. Sorry, my crazy dog's out today. Um, Spit their stories, be able to prep for their shows, get their music, and then be able to put the information that they need to get what they need. And I also have one cable sitting in the studio, sitting there that they can jack in their laptops. So they have their laptops there during their show. And that's the only way anybody's going out to the internet is that way, or wireless, right? Or wireless. And that's it. So and then I have another VLAN, usually as a backbone for all my broadcast stuff. So anything going out through that's going to the studio is going out on its own on its own VLAN, and then heading out to the ether. So there's that. The other thing to remember, so we're still in the studio. I'm not leaving the building yet. So the other thing you have to remember is any computers that you own as a studio station, as a station, you are responsible for keeping updated. And that's another big thing, updating your computers in a timely manner, right? Most stations use Windows or Macs. Macs are the easiest things to update in the world, and you actually never really have to reboot those machines.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, sometimes. This laptop I'm working now, I think it's due for a reboot. I think this I could say it's been about 5 years, but I don't think it's that bad. So it's been a little while since I've rebooted this. But I've done the update, so I know I'm pretty safe. The other thing is, but Windows machines, excuse me, 1 second.
Sure.
Sorry, cat going by.
What kind
Um,
of dog do you have?
so this is a black pit bull that appeared on the corner here outside my house, and my wife's like, we must take it in. We will take care of it, and we will take care of it, and somebody will adopt it. No, we're still got it, and but she's mellowed out. She used to try and go through the wall that's right there to get where people are. So she is mellowing out. She'll tire out a little bit. Anyway, sorry. So updates, very important. Update everything that you can in a timely manner. Don't Yeah, don't say I'll do that later or I don't want to reboot the automation machine. And this is where two automation machines are better than one because you can fail over to the other automated machine while you're doing one. Let it do the update, let it come back up, let it sync up with what's going on this first one, and then jump over to it and update the second one. Never update them at the same time because something could fail. The other thing is to have policies. You have to have computer policies, no matter, even if you're just a five-person station, have those computer policies, your SOPs, standard operation procedures for computer use. So when you get a new announcer, I'm using, damn, I'm out of, damn it. So we're, yeah, I'm calling them presenters now because it just sounds better than DJ, but that's just me. Um, you get a new presenter coming in, you have to have a little handbook for them, right? During training, all that stuff. This should be part of it. What they can and cannot do on the computer network, what they can and cannot do on the station's computers. Who's responsible for it? And it can be part of, I've been at some stations where you look at porn, you're out. And this isn't these aren't Christian radio stations. This isn't these were some big name stations. They didn't want that. So yeah, you had to be careful. You didn't know you got to write those policies out to really explain what is going to happen. But you also have to have your engineering staff or whoever's doing your computer stuff also keep a standard operating procedures on backups, um, updating, and what to do in case of a cyber attack. And there are many cyber attacks. There's, phishing attempts, which is what got our people in trouble this week at my job, where, and then financial scams, as well as people trying to just get
Can
information that
you
they should
can you
get.
say the fishing thing again? You froze on my screen
Oh,
just for a
sorry.
minute there.
Um, Phishing is one of the biggest examples. Like you'll get an email from Bob at Bob's Country Bunker saying, "Hey, shared this file with you," and you click on it, and it's not doing anything in the background of your computer yet, but it asks you, it takes you to, let's say, Google Drive, and it asks you for your username and password. You put it in, boop, up, nothing happens. Uh, Bob must have really not wanted me to have this. But now those people who sent that to you have your login and your password. So now they can get into your account and send out other ones to Fran's Country Bunker and Bob.
So you're saying like this Bob is someone you know, and then someone else or
It
someone you
comes
don't
that
know.
way. It can come that way, right? So if you're not expecting an email from Bob,
Yeah.
don't click on Bob's email, especially if you're not expecting something with a file attachment to it. Like if it's
So
saying
someone else pretend they're your friend.
pretending to be Bob, or Bob's account has been taken over. So therefore,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
right, Bob's account has been taken over, and I'm going to shoot the dog. Bob's account has been taken over, and they have now yeah, they've taken his contact list, his contacts, and sent out this mass email, but to each individual person,
Oh,
right? So,
right.
you're Bob's friend going, oh, there might be a special at Bob's Country Bunker today. Let me see what this is. And it's an attempt to get your password, your account and your
Ooh,
password. Then they come in and do the same thing, right? But with your contacts, out it goes. So you want to really be careful of those things. Then there are
yeah.
also the ones where you click and it messes your computer up, takes it over, and if it's a work computer, starts encrypting everything on every attached drive on your machine. If you share drives, and that's how you don't you hear some stories about this in the real world, but others not, where whole companies have been locked down because all their data has been encrypted and they're being held hostage for Bitcoin from somebody in Russia or Romania or somewhere else, maybe the US. I haven't heard of anybody really in the US being able to figure this out. But so there's that. Of course, now everybody in the US is now going to come to the Brunswick area and try and get me. So they So you really want to be careful about what you click on. Go over it. Don't click on it. Go over it and make sure it's really a picture of your grandkids or your kids or whatever, and not some spam with that when you click on it, it's going to start a little program in the background. You want to make sure and that's when that sort of thing happens. You really have to be careful. If you get something from somebody but you're not expecting it, better off saying, if you got them on the phone, text them and say, hey, did you send me this email with this picture? If they say no, delete it right away. Don't even click on it. Don't even open it.
Yeah.
So the more your users know, the more you know, the safer your computer stuff's going to be at the radio station.
Do you ever have like a ongoing list of like current spam
I
things
used to
or
have what I called the red drive. I used to have a red drive. And when we would find, oh man, I don't remember what job this was. This is like maybe 12 jobs ago. Um, I would get if we found viruses or anybody else in the country would find viruses, they would send them to me so I can put them on the red drive. And I wonder what happened to that red drive. That might be at my parents' house in the garage somewhere. That had a lot of them. I don't. It's too big now. It's like I used to run my own mail server for people. Like I had family and friends who are like, oh man, I really need my own mail server. I'm like, well, I'll put it up. Let's do it. We'll do it. Did it. I paid for hosting everything. The hardest thing that I realized I would come into work, my job, and spend about 2 hours on my personal mail server, making sure all the um, spam and virus definitions were up to date, and that the right mail was coming through, and the wrong mail was being blocked, and all this. Finally, I'm like, I'm done. So I, s- I, we went other ways with that. But it's hard. It's hard to keep track of all those things. Some companies do. The ones who are big, who that's their job, they will keep a list of them. You can go find them. I don't have time. I have a
Yeah,
life. You know,
right.
I
That's
don't need
probably
that.
part of their strategy too, is to keep changing it up.
It is. It's a change up
Yeah.
thing. And they also want people just to get lazy, right? They want computers have made things easy and they made things hard. And I'm not saying this, but my dad, my poor dad, my dad, I got a call one day when my mom was still alive. My mom's like, "Your dad's on the phone with somebody about computer support. Is he talking to you?" I'm like, I answered the phone, Mom. So no, I'm not on the phone with Dad. So I said, could you get him off the phone and have him call me? He had something pop up on his screen, said, you got a virus, call this number, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
He
yeah,
did,
yeah.
and he paid the number. And I was like, hey, Dad, what'd you do? And he's like, well, I'm like, why didn't you call me? Well, I didn't know if you could help me. I'm like, Dad, I've been in the internet in the IT field for years and I fixed all your computers. He's like, well, I didn't really want to bother you. I'm like, okay, Dad. I said, here's my number. Please, you know, stop with that because they were taking his computer over and doing things. And I was like, can't do that, Dad. So, and then when my mom passed away, I had actually called a buddy of mine near him, and I'm like, I can't do the support. I'll pay a contract for you to do it. And so I have a buddy who takes care of my dad's computers now. But it's because people don't understand who don't use them every day. Like they
Sure.
just use them, they come home, they surf the internet, they read their email, they see something like I said, it could be from if they think it's from their granddaughter or whatever,
Right.
click on it, and then they wonder why their machine got real slow, you know. Then, so you got to be careful. That's really the more you know, the more your users know, the more your studio and your station people know about cybersecurity and what not to do, then you need to train them and have make it part you have to make it part of your DJ training, your presenter training, your board training. Luckily, I'm lucky. I have a cybersecurity guy on my board. I have and so he that's his problem. I'm like, dude, I don't have time to do this. You build the training, and my board's pretty smart. They're pretty good at computers. So we don't worry about them right at this point. I also don't give them a lot of access to anything either yet. So they have their little silos, and that's all I really give them access to. But so moving on, so that's the main thing. The more you know, the safer you're going to be. The more your employees know, the safer you're going to be.
Do you have ideas for like resources for people who want to be up on what the current scam is? Like, is there websites to go
I can
to
give you
or
a list of them. I don't have them right now on top of my head
yeah,
because I
yeah,
was sick. I didn't have time. I was going to put that all together, but I didn't have time.
yeah, that's
So
fine.
we'll get it together and I'll get it out to you. And then, I'd love to do this again too sometime.
Oh, that'd be great. Okay.
So so let's talk some more. So okay,
Yeah.
so now we've got the studio figured out.
Does anyone have any
Oh, any
questions
questions?
about
Sorry, guys.
so far? I know you covered a lot.
They fell asleep.
We're all up to speed.
Right.
You do a
So,
nice job of explaining, I think.
oh well, thank you. So okay, so now you have your studio's built. Yeah, and I'm not even talking about audio over IP because if an LPM's got the money for that, please give me some because I'll just go buy some old analog gear. But so this, we're just talking your bare bone basic studio. So okay, you got it. You're playing your music. How's it getting back out to the studio? So this is where the internet comes into feed, right? Right now we've all nothing's touched the internet except one cable and some desktop computers. But how do we get our music, our programming from point A to point B? So you call your local internet provider. For me, it's a local fiber company that is fabulous down here. We love them. So and I'm not giving a name because I'm not sponsored by them. We will order a drop fiber circuit for the studio, and we'll order one for the tower site. So now, how do we get to the same spot, right? How do we get from there to there? Oh, with a static IP address on both sides. Usually I order 5 static IP addresses. It costs a little bit more money, but it gives me a little more flexibility on what I can do. But that's also because I'm a network guy and I've been in the internet world, and I used to have 256 IP addresses in the palm of my hand, but I don't have that anymore. So, so, so you have your internet stuff. Bam, it's there. You can go to your tower site and you can look at CNN, you can watch the news, you can watch Amazon Prime. You can do the same thing at the studio, but how do you talk to each other? And what do you do before with the data before it goes in or out of the building? All right. So this is where you go buy a real firewall. And I don't mean a Linksys that you can buy at Best Buy. I'm sorry, but no. And don't you, and yes, if your cable provider gives you a fancy looking modem, plan not to use the firewall that's in that thing. It is
Oh,
not it's not worth it. You can't really program it well, and most people are like, I just want the basics. Yes. But the problem is after a while, those basics stop getting updated software wise. And so um, this is where it gets complicated because a lot of small stations don't have a network person or somebody to place this order and tell people what they need and stuff. So this is where I say you can probably find a contractor or somebody in your area that will come out and do this for you, or you can always call me. I'll give you advice, or get in touch with me, email me, whatever, and I will give you advice on what to order, how to do it, what to ask for, and then we can go from there. If you're a nonprofit and you are not using TechSoup to at least look at their discounted prices, it's one of the best things I ever found as a nonprofit is TechSoup, because you can get discounts on software, hardware, networking, and computers and services. Like, what did I want Google. I go through them for Google Nonprofit, for our workspace. We love it. Anyway,
mhm.
so find somebody who can help you with that, or ask for advice. Don't try and wing it. I've seen that happen too, and it's a disaster. But anyway, so you want to be able to get a firewall that does IPsec tunneling. So what
Say that
that
again.
IP
Okay.
S, excuse me, IP, S is in Sam, E is in electric, C is in champion, IPsec or IPsec.
Okay.
What this is VPN software that's usually built into um, firewalls.
Okay.
So what you want to do is and get matching things. Don't buy one kind of one and then go, oh, this one's cheaper, and I just need it over at the tower site. Buy the same exact thing. Please do not buy two different things. It can be a
Like brand wise.
brand wise, model wise, right?
Okay. Got it.
So that way it's easier to pair up and stuff. It's using the same software, same GUI, so you can look at it and go, okay, I did this here, I got to go do this over here. So, because what you want to do, and this is why the static IP addresses are important. Static IP addresses are static, they don't change. Whereas most internet providers in the world, for commercial or in small towns like this, they do dynamic IPs, so they can change. You get a power outage or you get a new modem, like your modem dies, they put a new modem in, you get or a new or a new firewall, and the IP will change and it'll screw everything up. Whereas if you have a static IP, it will never change as long as you're paying for it. So if your firewall dies, you just you know and you've done good backups, you will just be able to take your most recent backup, restore it to the new firewall, and off you go. So, and also big brand name firewalls.
Okay.
Don't use Bob's firewall from Bob's Computers down the street. I like Bob. Bob's a big good name for me. So mainly because they keep updating their software, and even if they come out with new units, new models and everything, the software underneath is usually the same. They might change a thing here or there, but it's usually the same. So I don't push for Cisco, but I'm use them as the example. Cisco's software can run on almost every piece of their equipment until the equipment gets so, backwards until it gets so old that it can't handle it. So you can use the same software and the same configs and all this stuff. So it'll work.
Okay.
So you have these two firewalls, one on each space, and you have your internal. Um, so your internal network has their own little IP addresses. Um, and again, I will help if anybody needs help in designing a network for what you want to do. I love doing that stuff. It might take me a little longer than normal because I've been busy, but I will help you. So you got your network behind your little LAN behind your firewall. You got your little, so you now tell people, you set up your two IP addresses and your IPsec, and it gets a private little tunnel going back and forth, encrypted back and forth. So nobody can break into they can't see your data, and they, you're going to be using public IP addresses for your units. Because at the studio or at the tower site, you've now got your transmitter. This is a little controversial for me, but I'm going to do it anyway. You have your EAS machine at the transmitter site. You have what other ever remote gear up there and whatever else that has to be on the internet, right? Or on the network. And it's got its own little private network up there, its own little private LAN, so that traffic from your little private LANs that are in the studio, because you're probably going to have more than one because you have those virtual LANs as well. So they're going to be able to talk, and the only thing that people are going to be able to see from the outside world are those two little static IP addresses with nothing connected to them, because it's a private little tunnel going. But well, yeah, they'll see probably things that are open, but they will not be able to get in because nothing is going to be allowed in, because your firewall rules, which we have to set up, again, help you with that if you need that. Firewall rules will only allow traffic from point A to point B and point B to point A in through the
Okay.
firewall. Everything else is going to hit that wall.
Okay.
This is where updates are important too. Keep your firewall and your equipment updated. So plant that, but you never have two of it. Well, you could have two, but again, if a small station has a whole setup to be able to have two firewalls redundant, please send me some money. Help donate to the cost. So you're gonna have some downtime. You're gonna have, so be prepared for that. You're probably gonna have maybe 2 hours of downtime, depending on how far back your updates are gonna be. Some
Okay.
people, firewalls are sometimes tough to have that firewall software time, even in corporations. It's tough to find the time to do that. Luckily, where I work, everybody leaves at 5 o'clock, so we just stay late and just do them and pray everything comes back. Because we want to stay all night and never do any updates on a Friday. Fridays and
Oh,
weekends, never do them, because if you do them on a Friday, you're there all weekend because something's not going to work in your studio.
really? Because
It's
there's more
just
traffic, or it's just
no, it's just the way it
voodoo?
is.
It's just the
It's
full moon kind
it's
of
just
thing?
right. It's a full
Okay.
moon kind of thing. It's a
Okay.
sysadmin thing. Let me roll back to my sysadmin network days. We did nothing on Fridays. Fridays was like, hey, let's write documentation, right? Because we didn't want to touch computers. We didn't touch anything. And if the printer broke, it's okay. You can print on Monday. So that's just the way it was. So the more you can block the outside world from getting to your stuff, that is the most important thing. Let me look here really quick. What else I got? Credentials. That's the other thing. Passwords are very important. Don't put a machine on the internet or anywhere on a network in an office space, studio space without a password. And everybody needs to have their own username and password. Again, this is why you do not have like the your automation machine. If you have automation, I'm saying automation. Some people don't have that. I mean, I love my automation computer once we get up and running going, hey, I'm over here. I'm over here. Use me, please. I'm like, yeah, no. I want live 24/7. Um, a lot of people, so that, and for those special machines, they have their own username and password that only has access to what they need. So the
Okay.
automation
Yep.
machine only needs access to where the music commercials, PSAs, all that stuff that it's going to play, that's really the only access it needs. So
Right.
that way, if somebody gets that account, they're just going to mess your music up and stuff. But
Okay. That's what I was thinking. Like, because sometimes, radio station people change hands often or come and go producers, and sometimes it's hard to keep track of everyone. So sometimes passwords can slip through the cracks or people
so
forget. Is
here's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Here's what we do. Here's what we're gonna do. Um, well, I'll use this as my family. Um, I'm very big on. We'll use my dad as the example again. Last time I went to see my dad, I sat down at his computer because I needed to check my flight home, and I look over and there's this legal sheet of paper, pad of paper, and I'm looking at it as I'm typing my stuff, and I'm like, and looking at my phone that has my password manager on it, and I'm going, okay, but I'm looking, and there are all these passwords. I'm like, okay. Interesting. And I know that I'd set my dad up with a password manager. So I went down to him. I said, after I was done, I closed, got out of my stuff and went downstairs. I'm like, hey, what's that pad of paper you got? He goes, oh, those are my passwords. I go, really? He goes, yeah, but you notice I didn't have any usernames on there or where they went. I'm like, okay, Dad. No wonder it takes you forever to do your banking. But okay. So, but that's what you get. You get people who write on post-it notes
Sure.
and stuff like that.
Sure.
So you have to come up with again, policies, very important policy. Very important to have your policies. Um, and again, I'll help you if you guys want wording on that and help you and get it to your lawyer to have them look at it and stuff. Um, but I'll gladly help with that. I love that. I hate documentation, but I love writing policies. So, um, Paul,
Cool.
how you want to do it, right? How you want to do your password policy. Do you want to have it so that everybody has a username and password, or do you want it to be broadcaster one, broadcaster two? But here's the problem with broadcaster one, broadcaster two. If something happens or something blows up or somebody hoses something, you can't figure out who it was. It's broadcaster one, broadcaster two. How many people have you handed that out to, right? So if Stephanie, Schubert, that's her username and a password. Here it is. And if the music library blows up and you were that last person logging in there and you did something nefarious, we're going to know who it is because we're auditing everything. But again, it's because I have a cybersecurity engineer sitting over there across my street who's going to make me do that, right? Because we're going to be one of the safest stations in the world. He said that to me the other day. I'm like, dude, don't say that. You just jinxed us for life. So, what you want to do is make sure that you really do. Um, Policies are so important, but you want to make sure that when part of your policy should be when a producer leaves or a DJ leaves, their access gets cut right away, right? You disable that account. The day their last show is, bam, that's it. You come in the next day, do
Just
it.
part of the process. Okay.
Right. It's
Yeah.
part of the process. You have to have your onboarding process written. You have to have your offboarding process written. Same with board members. I mean, I've lost. I think I'm down. I've since we put the real board together at the beginning of 2025. I've gone through. I've yeah, three people have left, or I have removed one of those three people. So, and immediately click, right? Click. One guy did leave because I'm using him as a sounding board, so I leave him on the email list. But other than that, we you have to have those policies, and you have to be really focused on making sure that things are being followed. And that might be you are putting that in charge, you're giving that responsibility to Pam, who's there every day, manning the phones, hanging out the office, and she's dependable, and she has a clue on how to type on a keyboard, right? And click on a mouse. Trust me, I've seen some who can't. So, you have to find your person and you have to groom them and teach them. Um, and that's part of it. Strong authentication, as I said, change default passwords on everything. The minute you get a new piece of equipment, even if you write the new password and slap it on a post-it note and put it on a post-it note and pass it on top while you're waiting to get it configured, get in there, turn that, before you even plug it into into your internet network at all, right? You when you start designing and configuring equipment, you want to do that off the network. You want to have your own little your person, whoever's going to do it, should have a little network that they just plug that into, plug their computer in. First thing they do is change that password. First thing, and add two more administrators, and one should be whoever is your engineer, all right, or whoever's doing your technology should have a login account into that machine. If that's the other thing to look at in any kind of networking equipment is that you can do multiple users. Again, because something happens and you go back, look at the logs, and Bob, the builder, was the guy who logged in and did something and caused the whole network to go down, you can at least say, Bob, what'd you do, man? You're like, why didn't you put the comment in? But at least you'll know what happened. And if Bob goes, well, I didn't log in, then you know somebody's hacked his account. So yeah,
Mm.
that way don't just use administrator. That's the hard. I am guilty of that sometimes, but that's older equipment where I can't change that name. And when at jobs I work at where we had those, I'd be the only one who would touch those. I'd be like, no, if you need to get into that machine, I'll do it. Tell me what you need done. Is that what you have to do? Um, let's see what else. Log monitoring, always log monitor, check the logs all the time. EAS equipment, that's the easiest one to do, right? Because it should just be blurting out something every what month? You should get an EA log, an EAS log. Um,
So when you check logs, are you just checking to make sure that they're people that are actually in the station? Are you looking for fake names or what are you looking for?
well, for EAS, yeah, I'm looking at logins for definitely for that, especially if it's connected. I've been there. Good. All right. So you're looking for that. You're looking to find out, making sure that nobody logged in, making sure that if people have logged in, it's people you know. But you also should be just also making sure there's no this isn't for cybersecurity only, for any faults, any issues that you can catch. With the AAS logs, Mishi over at OrecNet is gives the best advice. Just point the logs to an email address and have it go there every day. And you just go, you give Pam that responsibility. But you got to make sure Pam knows what she's looking for and that Pam is looking because I'll be honest, I hate log email. I get email tiredness because the logs will I get 3 emails a day from my personal servers and 15 emails a day from my work servers, and some days I'll look through them and other days I'll just like delete, 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 because you get tired of it. You get not brain freeze, but you get
Overload.
overload, or just it's just like your eyes roll back in your head. I look a lot on the weekend ones only because I'm not around for those, right? I'm not there every day, and I'm on my own personal servers mostly all the time. So checking logs is very important, especially for your big machines like your transmitters. And actually, that should really be the engineer, but you should be looking at as a small. If you're a small, organization, somebody should be able to back that guy up or that person up. Shouldn't always be a guy. Should back that person up to be able to go, okay, here we are. What are we doing? Okay, oh, this is red now. It wasn't red the last time. And when he showed me, I got to call him, right? So, or hey, look, Frank, somebody's been trying to bang into the server or into whatever. So, but you need to have that redundancy as well. Patch management we talked about, strong authentication. One of the best things I can tell you about passwords and strong authentication is definitely password vaults. Whether it be if you're a Mac person, FirstPass. My favorite right now is Bitwarden. You can get it, and they have a free service, or you can self-host. But it's good to have. They have desktop apps so that you can start saving your passwords to them. And as a business, any of the business ones, like your transmitter logins, yeah, anything you have to have a login for that if the mythical beer truck wipes somebody out, you can go to the password vault and find it and go, okay, we can get in. All right. Don't write it down, have it in a password vault. Um, Other nice thing is it's a nice little service that you can give to your DJs, where they can, have their own little account and keep their passwords for whatever they need on their computers, and they can get to it and stuff like that. I do like that as a service. We provide it where we can. We don't do it for the city at this point, but it's a good thing to have because it's saved in the cloud. It's saved in the cloud, and you can get to it from other places. So if you're, oh, and they also have a phone client. All these password places do. So I'm not just pushing Bitwarden, but as a password client, so when you're at the studio or at the transmitter saying like, oh man, what's the password to get in? You can look it up, right? You don't have to find it in a book, and it won't fall in the wrong hands. It's encrypted, it's safe, and maybe only a few of you have access to that group of passwords, which is fine. Not everybody needs them. The guy doing smooth jazz on Sunday mornings, if he's just a guy who comes in to do the smooth jazz show, doesn't need to know how to log into the transmitter. So,
Yeah, yeah.
let's see. It's always the
Smooth jazz
smooth to
guys
jazz guy is always
are
the worst.
shifty, man,
They're
I tell
shifty,
you.
man. Um, VPNs, as I said, those are your lifeblood, right? Because it's encrypting your data. It's making sure that your data is not accessible to Bob, the cyber criminal, is not going to be able to sniff out your data, and they're not going to be able to be able to, because your stuff's not on the public internet. They're not going to know it's there. They're going to see the firewalls. That's what they're going to see. Um, oh, firewall patch management. I said sometimes that falls behind. It really shouldn't. If you join whatever Reddit group, company that you buy your firewall from, like there'll be a Reddit group. Any emails that they have from support, and those need to be looked at a lot, because if they come out and say there's a problem with this, and this, and you have to upgrade to this version, be ready to do it, because everybody else who's out there nefariously, ooh, good word, nefariously will know it and try to use that to get into your firewall. And then once they get in, they can go and make as many rules as they want to allow their stuff to go in and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
and backups are also very important, and that's for everything. Firewall configurations. Um, yeah, I think EAS. I think, I haven't been on EAS machine in a while, but I think they have a backup that you're able to back up the configuration for. Definitely, I think the transmitters do. I'm not sure about that one. Don't quote me on that. But definitely your automation software, your music library software, or whatever you're using, back up that, if you're using a NAS, a attached storage for your music, have two and have them syncing at all times. That way, well, you have one, it syncs to B, A, and it syncs to B. You always go to A and it syncs to B. And that way, because if A dies, you can just dump over to B. And then for backups, off-site backups are always great, but small stations, we don't have the money for that. So it's to figure out a way. I mean, you always talk to people, see how the other companies or other stations are doing it. Talk to me. We come up with something. So yeah, there you go.
Wow, that's great. Well, that's very kind of you to reach out to people. So I'll say that if you're watching this online, just get in touch with me and I'll connect you with William just to make it simple.
It might
Um,
take me a little bit to get to you. I actually did have somebody get to me before Christmas, and I was like, I need to know what kind of equipment you got. He's like, well, it's up in this area. And the other day, one of the board members went up there and it fell and knocked him in the head. And I'm like, what? I said, just take a picture. I don't, but he said they got it figured out. So, but people are reaching out, and I gladly help others.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this was just very thorough and interesting. Thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
Um,
It was fun.
uh, does anyone ha have any questions?
I do. I was wondering why you're so comfortable with the cloud.
I'm
Because
comfortable with the
we
cloud.
don't
So,
own that.
no, I don't. But I'm comfortable with the cloud because I used to work for a hosting company and we were the cloud. Um, yeah, you don't own it, but people give the cloud a really bad name. It's just big computers with storage. I don't use a lot of the cloud. I'll be honest with you though. I use the cloud mainly for my documentation, email, and I personally, for the Bitwarden and the password manager stuff, I host that myself. But it's because it's ease of use. Because if I'm not here in Brunswick and my station gets on the air, or and I have an issue and I'm in New York City, I can grab my laptop and be able to get to my documentation, find what I need right away, and then be able to get into my systems through my remote controlling. I know cloud has a bad um, reputation. My stepdaughter was just here, and she is so anti-AI, which I am too. I don't believe in AI at all because I've seen the Terminator movies when it first came out as a kid, and it still scares me. Um, and but cloud usage, it depends on who owns that cloud. Um, there are a lot of privately owned clouds, and I'm not talking the Googles or the Microsofts that I would look into. Um, because they're there because they don't want to be Google and they don't want to be Microsoft. They don't share your data. They don't take your data. They don't use your pictures for, someone else's swim team photos or whatever. So it's cloud is the cloud name itself has gotten a bad rap, whereas it's only because of two or three bad eggs of that cloud. So
Hmm,
that's why.
interesting.
What about um, Google Docs? Do you use that
Yes,
a
I
lot?
actually,
Are
I
you
not my,
careful about what what do you?
what do I use it for? So I do not use Google Docs. So I do not use Google Docs as a Gmail user because that's dangerous. Um, the Brunswick Community Radio, we use Google Workspaces for nonprofits. And because of that, when businesses use it or and pay for it, as a nonprofit, we do not pay for it. It's a free service from Google. They do not use our data for anything. They don't search the data, or for any of the email or anything because it is protected under their ELA, whatever, under their policy. And actually, if you use the nonprofit, you will see at the bottom of the email somewhere on there it says this your data is not being used for anything. Your data is yours. As a family, Bilancio Enterprises, my whole family uses Google. We were one of the first ones back when Google would give you workspaces for free. We are one of the ones that fought with Google when they said we're taking that away from you because we want you to pay for it. That's why there's the legacy that you can't buy anymore. We are part of that legacy group, and that's another one where they do not take your data. So that's why for me the cloud's a little different. But I also use for other businesses that I don't want anything touching Google. I have other companies that I use that are not, or I build my own. A lot of people
So,
can't do that.
would you store passwords on Google Docs?
No,
Docs?
no, no, no,
Okay.
no, no. That's a big no-no. I actually I started a company that was doing that, and I left the company because they were doing that. That's why password vaults are better. They're encrypted.
Which are in
Uh,
the cloud?
you can be, or I mean, it's a service I should provide. Anyway,
So password
some
vaults is the word, password vault.
vault. Sorry, not
Okay.
VAULT. Right, password vault. So there are many companies out there. If you're a Mac user, 1Password is the one that seems to be what everybody uses. It used to be LastPass, and they've been bought out by so many people, nobody touches them anymore. I got off of them really fast once they started going through businesses. I host my own um, that I so I know where my data is. But I have also talked to people who, like my cybersecurity neighbor across the street, who says that the password vault the majority of the password vaults, 1Pass, Bitwarden, and I can't think of the other two he always talks about, are very secure. And yes, he does and would use them for passwords.
Hmm, good question.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
works.
I've never
I
used a
don't get that
password
very
vault
much
yet.
anymore,
I
Mary.
probably kind of putting a fire under me like, oh, I need to get on some things here, I think. Yeah.
It's it's interesting, but it makes me think maybe there might be a market out there for me to not to charge people, but to give you guys a vault to try and use, just to
Hmm.
try it out. Let me think about that one. And
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
hard to do that. It's time consuming. That's all.
You think a password vault could be its own like roundtable discussion?
It could be. We could do that. Yeah. It, man, that cold's kicking my
Bless
butt.
you.
Thank you. Sorry, yeah, I didn't hit mute. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Yeah.
It could be well, passwords themselves can be a whole authentication and password vaults. That could be all a round table
Oh
because
wow.
there's so much going on and it's very important. My wife's a big one of this. She hates passwords. She thinks they're stupid, doesn't understand why they need to be used. So, and I got people at work who are the same way, but it protects your stuff. And yeah, it could be a political thing, but I don't think so. Like I said, in the beginning, the internet was the wild, wild west, but it was still safer than it is now to be on the internet. When the internet came out, even when consumers got on the internet, it was still safer than it is now,
It
in
was
my
Adam and Eve playing in the garden, just
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
frolicking, and now it's just
Now
dangerous.
it's not fun. Right. I used to sit in the corner when I was
Frolicking.
at my house and just doing being on the internet. It was cool, right? And then the web
Yeah.
came. That was cool too. I mean, I'm talking internet when it was just text. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm not really that as old as y'all think I am, but I just did a lot at that time. That's why I look this way. So any other questions?
No, appreciate you coming with
You're
all
welcome.
the
Thank
Yeah,
you,
welcome.
William. Yeah, glad you could come today. Thank you everyone for making it. Glad you could be here. And thank you, William, for sharing your time with us. It means a lot.
Anytime. Again, if you guys have any questions or anything, please reach out to Stephanie. She'll give you my contact information, and I'll try and help you as much as I can. I'm trying to build our own station, but I do love to do stuff, and I will help with policy if you want me to read policies or read your SOPs to just say, hey,
Ooh,
this isn't doing this. This won't work. I'm not just a broadcast person. The internet and information technology seems to have been my life now since the late 90s. So I'd rather be doing radio though all the time.
that's
But
great.
yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm
you're a
glad.
busy dude.
I do got one question for you, Lee.
Sure, sir.
I've been noticing when I listen to my I'm listening to my car radio, and then all of a sudden it'll drop, and then the music drop maybe about 5 seconds, then it come back on. I've noticed that. I can't figure it out. Well, how is it dropping?
Is
I
this your
kind
own station?
Yes, much.
Okay. So what you need to do is note when that happens in your car. What time, right?
Okay, okay,
Right? And then you go
okay,
back to your log. Start with your automation. Start at the beginning.
okay,
All right. Look at your logs on your automation system
okay,
and see if there was like a blip, right?
okay,
Maybe that's where it dropped off.
okay.
Then move to the next spot, which is for you guys probably the internet, right? Make sure there's not, check, you know, call your internet provider. Say, hey, and
Yep.
something they hate this, man. They hate when people know these things. But call the internet provider and go, hey, we were having this issue at 5 o'clock, right?
Okay.
5 o'clock. Don't tell them you were in the car. Never
Okay.
tell them you're in the car. Tell them you're like, and all of a sudden we lost internet. Was that you guys? We lost the feed to our transmitter. Was that you guys? Could you take a look, see if there was any issues in my area or with my account or my feed at this time? Really
Hmm.
pay attention to time.
Okay.
This goes for if you have a phone system
Uh-huh.
definitely, or your phone lines are getting messed up. write down exactly when this problem is, what the problem was, and when you call the phone company, they will be, because that's the first thing they're asking. Well, what time was it? Well,
Right,
I
right,
don't know. So they won't
right.
be able to trace for you, right? So okay, so you're there at that one. All right. If it's the same IP, if it's the same internet provider, right,
Mhm.
that you have at the studio and at the transmitter site, use the same times, use the same call. Say, look, I got two accounts or two sites. I need to know. This is what happened. Can you look at either one? And then after that, I don't know. You might have a bad piece of switch. You might have a bad switch gear on both ends somewhere. The internet provider might go, "Oh yeah, we're having problems with this model, the modem that we sent you. We'll send somebody out and put a new one in."
Mhm.
If it continually happens at the same time of the day, though, who knows? Could be the kids coming home from school and using all the internet. That used to be
Interesting,
the way it was. Remember?
interesting. Okay, I heard about that before.
Yeah, well, cable modems were the big thing. So when all the kids came home from school, they started playing games or, surfing the web, and everybody else in the neighborhood's internet would just go. So, so yeah.
Also, I got another problem. That just happened. I'm
All
using
right.
I'm using Sound Broadcaster, and
Oh,
I'll try to pull reports. And for
yeah.
some instance, they said that this let me see, I'm
Wait a minute. Are you using Sam Broadcast through the cloud?
pro. I
So
mean,
you're self-hosting it,
yeah,
like it's
yeah,
on your own machine. Okay. All right.
yeah, yeah. And
Because
so
if
when I
you
try to pull, because like about a month ago, I was able to pull reports, and it goes to a local host, 1180, and it says it's out or something.
Yeah, so what that is, so I used to use Sam Broadcaster. I used to use the Pro and I used to use the cloud. If you told me the cloud and you were having that 5 minute problem, it was them. I'll tell you that right now. It was them, but you're not using the cloud. So this other issue, have you rebooted the machine?
Uh, I
If you have
don't know.
not rebooted the machine, I bet if you do, it'll fix the problem. Here's the
Okay.
thing with Windows, man. If there's a problem, printing problems, I used to have a sign on my desk that said, "Did you reboot?"
Okay.
So people would come up to me and go, I can't print. I'm trying to print. I just point to the sign because usually I was doing something else. And if they came back, it meant it was not the print. It was not the machine did not need to be rebooted. But 9 times out of 10, they never came back to my desk. So all with Windows machines, and I, I have another quick story. So I used to work for an engineering firm, and I was their IT department. And at the Christmas party every year, the owner would call me up and he'd tell the same story. Three engineers are in a car. There's a computer engineer, there's a civil engineer, this was a civil engineering firm, an electrical engineer. Car breaks down. Civil engineer and the electrical engineer get out, and they're looking at the engine, they're trying to see things, nothing's working. They go tap on the window, and the guy, the computer engineer, looks out, and he looks at him. He rolls the window down, he rolls the window back up, car starts right up. So always with a Windows machine, the 9 times out of 10, and when I say reboot, I mean shut it off,
Okay.
complete shut off, count to 10 and turn that thing back on.
Okay. So should I unplug it too to take out all
Nah,
the
you don't
power?
need to unplug it. No,
Okay.
just
Okay.
turn
All
it
right.
off, count to 10,
All
or
right.
if you want to go a little longer, go get yourself a cup of coffee, come back, turn it back on, and drink your coffee while it's rebooting.
Okay. Okay.
That's that. And Sam Broadcaster is a little finicky with that, so I do know that one well.
Okay. Cool. Cool. I'll make sure. Since you talking along, you might as well get your phone number out right now.
Yeah,
Stephanie will
go.
give it to you. No,
All
I'm not
right.
giving out my phone number for
I'll
you
give
two.
you,
Sorry.
I'll send it to you an email.
All right,
Okay.
thank
Cool.
you. Texting
Uh,
is always best.
Okay.
Email is
Okay.
even better. Text, you email me and then text me, and I'll try
Uh-huh.
and get back to you as soon as I can. Like I got three things going on. I'm running my wife's coffee shop too. So
you said texting's better? Okay.
emailing me the problem and then texting me that
Okay.
there's,
Okay.
that you sent me something that would be good too.
Okay.
Okay.
Because
Appreciate that.
sometimes I,
We'll start with email then and then
yep, yep.
okay.
And then,
Got it.
if I got to call you, I'll ask you for your phone number.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
All right. Where are
Good
you out of, sir?
question. Good answer.
I'm in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay. All right. What station?
KOWN 95.7 The Balls.
Oh, 95.7. That's mine. That's my frequency here in Brunswick. We're trying to get on the air now too. So
All
good
right, so
job, man.
that's why we look handsome. That's what
That's
that
it,
hair.
man. It's all on the number, man. It's all on the number. All right, guys.
9 to 5. Awesome. Well, thanks again, William,
You.
for sharing your time and everyone for your good questions and hanging out.
All right.
And
Thank
I did want to ask you one more thing. When you say you could help with policies, are these like tech policies or any kind of radio station policies? Are there certain things that you like to focus on?
I will always look at tech policies
Okay,
but radio policies, I do like looking at those, and I will help with those. At least read them for you and give you advice on them. Um,
cool.
yeah, I don't mind.
Maybe we could have like a like a policy workshop or something.
That works too.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Cool,
Well,
cool.
it'd be lovely to have you visit again. Are
Okay,
you
love
are
to.
you talking to your dog again? Is that
No,
what?
no, no. I was just thinking The Godfather. I get out and they pull me back in, but that's okay. So we have a non we
Yeah,
have a
we enjoyed you very much. You're gonna have to come
okay, we have
back.
a great here in Brunswick, we have the College of Coastal Georgia. It's one of the UGA colleges, and they have a entrepreneur group. And I've been through almost every class, and I'm expecting to get an email that there's going to be a new class. And the joke is always, once I thought I was out, they just sucked me back in. But please, the Lucas Center is great. But please, yeah, keep me in mind. If you guys have any
Okay.
questions, please just shoot me an email. Stephanie has that
Awesome.
information, and we'll
Okay.
help you out as best I can.
Thank
So,
you
so,
so
so,
much.
so you're in Georgia?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brunswick, Georgia. Golden Isles, St. Simons is 10 minutes that way, and Jekyll Island is 10 minutes that way. Florida is 45 minutes that way, and I'm an hour, maybe hour five from Savannah.
Okay, so I'm supposed to be going to Atlanta next week.
That's 5 hours away, and I ain't gonna be seeing you there, brother. You have a good
Right?
time. That's where
Yeah.
I came. That's where my wife came from. I'm
Right.
from the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania area, and then I moved to Atlanta to be with my girlfriend now, wife, back right before COVID. So
Okay.
now, yeah. So yeah,
All right.
And did you say that you had a policy just on the tech side?
I can. If you
Or
guys,
no. I mean,
sorry,
I I thought you had talked about
you need to have a
having
policy.
station policy.
You need to have a station
Okay.
policy on the tech side because otherwise, again, it's the wild, wild west. But
Right.
if you have tech policies, you can hold people accountable. Um,
Yeah.
I was not big on policies when I first got into the internet, into the information technology or the internet business. But I've come to realize that without them, you can't hold people accountable
Yeah.
for their actions if they
Right.
mess things up, right? If they
Right.
came, someone came in and unplugged everything in the network cabinet, and you didn't have a policy saying only blah blah blah, these people, these five people are allowed to be in there, um, then you have no way to go. Well, you
Yeah.
shouldn't have been doing that, right? So, and also remember in policies, they need to be updated.
Right.
Mm,
Yeah.
They
mm.
need to be looked at least, if there's a change and Stephanie leaves, the station and she's listed on five of the policies as the key holder or the lead person for each policy, you as a board or you as a staff have to go now and, you know, audit the policy, rewrite the policy, and take Stephanie's name out and put Stephanie, put her replacement or whoever you want to do that back in. And remember also, rev codes are always good. Keeping all your revs listed of what was changed at the bottom is always good as well. Document. My brain's not working today, but yeah, you want to be able to go back as well as forward, right? You want to be able to see what was changed to make sure things are still
Mm,
right.
How large is your control room? How many people can fit in your control room?
Me, when we finally build it, I plan to have so we plan to have three control rooms. Well, three studios. One is going to be the control room, which I'm feeling I'm going to be able to fit one performer
No, I'm just talking about your control room.
for right. My control for you mean my studio or
No,
my
control room.
Okay. Three. I can fit three people in my control room. But define what you mean by control room.
I beg your pardon?
Define what you mean by control
Oh,
room. Sorry.
that's where the board op producer,
So,
director would
okay.
be.
So yeah, for that we're not gonna have just a control room right now. Our first one's gonna have a control room. Is gonna be our board op with our producer and director in there, as well as our whoever we're interviewing, or if there's no interview, then that's who's gonna be in there. So 3 to 4 and of studio people, and then maybe enough space for 2 people to sit for an interview. Meaning, yeah,
Okay, well, uh, I see the terminology has changed
it's all good.
from
It's all
when
good.
I was in school, which was probably 60 years ago.
So you're needing a control room with the board
Control
operator.
room is where the mixer and
Yep.
all the equipment is, and the studio is where the interviews take
which
place.
was on the other side of the window, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So all right, control room. If I was to build it that way, I would build it for 5 people because I would want to be able to have my board operator in there, my producer, my director, and at least 2 management people can stand there and listen. Because I've had it where I've been in control rooms like that, which are so small, and then the general manager and the program director want to come in, and I've been the board operator, and it's you become the the T-Rex trying to be able to move because there's no room.
So what's the setup if you don't have the
Control room.
old-fashioned way?
So what a lot of people do is, all right, this is actually a good example. So what a lot of it is there's usually a T desk like this or an L desk. And on this side here is where the control board is, and a person sits on this side, and all the monitors are here with space to be able to be seen. And over here is a table that has a rounded edge usually, and you set mics up to be, let's see, let me do this. Mics along so people can talk. Is the way it is. I haven't seen a boardroom like you're talking about in modern studios in a little while.
Well, how do you control the if everybody's in the same room? How do you talk? How do the engineers
Crosstalk.
talk to the hosts?
Usually the host usually has their own. Usually, lately though, and I'll be honest, the host is the one running the board and doing the interview. The bigger the station though, the more it is like you're talking.
Yeah.
The bigger the station. Small radio stations like us, we're just going to have the person, the Terry Gross is going to be running that board and talking to whoever she's going to be talking to. But Terry, I've been to WHYY in Philadelphia. She's got the setup you have. She's got a person sitting in the other room taking the calls and, talking to her through the headphones. And she's in there just sitting there talking to the guests on the microphone and doing what she's got to do. It's the Kelsey Grammer look. Not Kelsey Grammer. Kramer.
Yeah.
What's the show?
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Seattle.
The radio show. Right. The Seattle radio show.
KRP.
No, KRP. They didn't have. No, they had one guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
WKRP is a setup that I'm used to.
Yeah, KRP was good. That's what got me into radio. But yeah, the Kelsey Grammer show where they had Roz in one room and Kelsey in another room. That's the setup you're seeing, and some studios still do that, but it's few. It depends on the format. If it's really talk radio like that, that's the way it's going to be done. And they're going to have a separate section for a separate little news studio off to the side that jacks in. But if it's a music station or yeah, mostly music. It's going to be what, people just sitting there, the host there, and the guests are coming in, or, if it's a morning show, there are five hosts, four guests, and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's changed.
Yeah,
It's changed, but it hasn't changed, right?
I was really surprised to see that TV. There were there were TV networks online that were not with CBS or NBC or any
Right,
of those major guys. They were just TV,
right.
internet, and that they had that set up for television, and that shocked me
Yeah, I mean,
because I
it's
worked at a big station
okay.
long time ago.
Yeah, I have the more talk radio stations that I've seen and that I've been in, it is the way you've got it set up. My brain always goes to music stations because that's my pride and joy. That's where I started, was in music, and so for me, it's music, music, music.
Yeah, yeah,
But
we had that uh, set up in our old studio for the DJs where they could uh, they had the board in front of them, but for our
mhm,
talk shows, we had a control room
right.
for board op.
I wish I could do that. I wish I could afford and have the space to do that. That's our other issue here in Brunswick is trying to find the space to put the studio. We really do have space for the transmitter. We are putting it on City Hall. We are ready for that. It helps that I work there, but we are excited about that. But we're looking for space. I mean,
Yeah,
that's hard down here. Um, so it's going to be fun. We're in our yeah, we just November started our second year on the clock. So we're really pushing.
we
So
started our studio at the back of a house. Control room was what had been a closet.
yeah, I'm thinking we might be doing that with a room that's right over here in my house, even though my wife would probably freak out about that. But or my cybersecurity buddy over he's got two houses. But so yeah, so it's been fun. I do have to go. I got to check on my wife. She's been in there playing Stardew Valley, so I have to go make sure she hasn't like bought five more cows. So everybody
Well,
have
thank
a
you,
good day.
William.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it was
It's been
a pleasure
fun.
having you. Thank
Thank
you,
you
other
very
William in
much. Yeah.
Omaha and Marie in San Diego and Terry in Kansas City. It was a
That's right.
pleasure.
Thank you. It's been fun.